We are doing a Christmas craft series where I'll share some DIY, home decor, and gift ideas. We're going to do some sewing, Cricut crafts, and just some general crafting for the holidays. So subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get started. I've had this vintage Christmas fabric that I thrifted and knew it would be perfect to recreate this inspiration picture from Pinterest. You can easily cut these pieces by hand, but if you have a Cricut Maker, did you know it can cut fabric? I decided to try it out for this project, and I'll link to the design space file if you're interested in making it yourself. I just cut a square piece of fabric, placed it on the FabricGrip Mat, and inserted my rotary blade to complete the cuts. Now, if you're wondering, yes, it is a little bit more time consuming to cut these pieces with the Cricut, but I think it's worth it for a project like this where you want all the pieces to be exact. Look at that nice, clean cut. So I cut 8 of the banner pieces, 2 for each side, and I used some flocked iron-on vinyl for the letter cutouts. Here's that flocked iron-on. This is the one from Hobby Lobby. So I also cut those with my Cricut, and the letters are also in the design space file if you want to recreate this project. You could also cut this project just from cardstock or whatever material you like. So before sewing, I'm going to iron on the letters using my mini heat press on the medium setting. Here's the letter, and the font I use will be in the project, so you know. So it's on the medium setting. I preheated the fabric first for about 10 seconds, and then I pressed the letter in sections for about 25 seconds each section until the letter was adhered. I do recommend using some parchment paper or a Teflon sheet in between your layers if you are doing this on a thin fabric, because the adhesive did kind of come through onto my pressing mat. So I also pressed on the back for about 10 seconds and then let it cool completely before peeling off the carrier sheet. And I repeated this with each of the letters. Now, if you've never done iron-on with your Cricut, go ahead and check out the video linked on the screen. Now, to make my banner pieces a little more plush, I added some fusible fleece. It looks just like this, or you can get it on a roll and get it cut. And fusible fleece, if you're not familiar with it, is just batting with an adhesive on the back side. I just cut it smaller than the banner so that it won't be in the seam when we sew it, and press that in place. Now it's finally time to sew, and I decided to use one of my decorative stitches to mimic an embroidered look like my inspiration. And I did use a red thread for this to match the fabric. How cute is that? Now, to sew the banner pieces, we'll put the fabric right sides facing and make sure everything is lining up, especially that angled part. Then clip or pin it all together. And we're going to start sewing at the top, going down one side, along the angles, and up the other side. We are leaving the opening at the top to turn it back right side out afterwards. Now I did use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I backstitched at the start and finish. Now, once it's sewn, we'll trim the seams. Go ahead and clip your threads. And we're going to trim the seams to about half to get rid of any bulk, and clip right at that angled part so that it's nice and crisp when we flip it out. Just be careful not to cut your stitches. While we're trimming the seams, let me know in the comments what traditions your family has on Christmas Day. Our family, we're a family of 5, so the kids typically like to get up early. Not so much nowadays because they're getting older, but I will cook a hot breakfast, so either like pancakes or if I plan ahead, cinnamon rolls or something like that. So let me know in the comments what your family tradition is on Christmas morning, if you have one. So now that we have the seams all trimmed, we can turn it out, poke out the corners, roll the seams, and give it a nice press. Now to finish off the top raw edge and turn these into a banner, I used some bias tape. I've had some of these on hand since Joann was closing. I bought a bunch just because they were on sale, and now I'm putting them into use. But you could also use some ribbon that can be folded over to cover the top edge of the fabric. Now I left about 8 inches or so at the start of the bias tape and just placed a pin. And then about 1 inch away from that, I took the first banner piece, sandwiched it between the bias tape, and clipped it in place. You could also fold in the top edge if you wanted to finish it, and then just do a ribbon on the front, whatever you like. And then to space these nice and evenly, I left 1.5 inches in between each banner piece. So starting at the end of the bias tape, I lined up the folded edge to the 1/4 inch seam mark on my machine and sewed all the way across the tape, catching the banner pieces. So here is the final look. I'm loving those decorative stitches on there. And here it is on my mantle. Let me know if you want a tutorial for those fabric bows. I just kind of made it up to fill the space. And don't forget to like and share, and I'll see you in the next one.